Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Mid-Ohio Valley Players Theater, the only all-volunteer community theater in the Mid-Ohio Valley. Please note the emergency exit doors on either side of the stage. Of course, there's no smoking or flash photography permitted. We also ask that you please silence your cell phones. We invite you to experience the magic of live theater. Enjoy. And now, our show.
That's right, David. Yes, now go and fetch the ice packet. Yes, and did you manage to get the ice out of those little tin trays? Yes, I'm a little struggle though, but it's all right. And you filled the little tin trays up again with water? Yes, very good. You're making giant strides. Yes, and Madam McCarty, Mrs. Gradlin, and I will have our coffee in here after dinner. Mr. Condamine and Dr. Gradlin will have theirs in the dining room. Is that quite clear? Yes. And try to remember when you're serving dinner, Edith, to do it calmly and methodically. Yes. As you are not in the baby, it is unnecessary to do everything in a double. Very good. Now go and get the ice. Yes. Not in a rush, Edith.
No sign of advancing hordes?
Not yet.
No ice.
Oh, it's coming. I've been trying to discourage Edith from being quite so fleet of foot. You mustn't mind if everything's a little slow motion tonight.
I shall welcome it. The last few days have been extremely agitating. But what do you suppose will do Sanders to leave us if you don't get married?
The reason was becoming increasingly obvious, darling.
Yes, but nowadays no one thinks anything of that sort of thing. She could have popped into the local cottage hospital, had it, and popped back out again.
Your social life would have been seriously undermined.
We must keep Edith in the house.
Oh, that's right, Edith. Put it down on the table, carefully. Yes.
Edith, I left my cigarettes on the dressing table. Could you get them for me?
Yes, sir.
There she goes.
Oh, you took away surprise.
Dramatine, don't you?
Yes, darling. Well, I expect Madam McCarty will want something sweeter.
We'll have this one for ourselves anyhow.
Oh, dear.
What's the matter?
I have a feeling this evening's going to be awful.
It will probably be fun, but not awful.
You must promise not to catch my eye. I'm very likely to giggle if you do.
You mustn't. You must be dead serious. If possible, a little intense. We can't be Yogi's feelings, however funny she is.
What for the Bradleys, darling? I mean, he's as skeptical as we are. He'll probably say the most dreadful things.
But I've warned him. There must be more than 3 people, and it couldn't be the vicar and his wife, because A, they're dreary, and B, they probably wouldn't have proved it all. It had to be the Bradleys. Here, try this. Thank you, Edith. Steady does it.
Yes, sir.
You might make a walk around with a book on her head like you do the poetry lessons. There you are, try this.
Lovely. Try the bone.
To the unseen!
I must say, that's an extraordinary title.
Do you remember how I got the idea of the light goes out?
Suddenly seeing that haggard, rattled woman in the hotel at the events. Of course I remember. We sat up half the night talking about it.
She certainly came in very handy. I wonder who she was.
Think if she ever knew, ever recognized that description of herself. Oh, poor thing. Only a dirt, anyhow.
Another one?
Darling, it's most awfully strong.
Never mind.
You're so weird to be a help to you when you're thinking something out, honey.
Sometimes when she concentrated, but she didn't concentrate very well.
I do wish I'd known her.
I wonder if you would have liked her.
I'm sure I should. Well, as you talk of her, she sounds enchanting. I'm sure I should have liked her. I've never for an instant felt the least bit jealous of her. That's a good sign.
Poor Elvira.
Does it hurt still when you think of her?
No, not really. Sometimes I almost wish it did. I feel rather guilty.
Well, I wonder if I died before you were alive with me. You forget me so soon.
Well, to begin with, I haven't forgotten her. I remember her very distinctly indeed. I remember how fascinating she was, how magic. I remember how badly she played all games and how cross she got when she didn't win. I remember her gay charm when she achieved her own way or something, and her extreme acidity when she didn't. I remember her physical attractiveness, which was tremendous, and her physical and spiritual integrity, which was nil.
You can't remember something that was nil.
I remember how more than tiny she was.
Was she more physically attractive than I am?
That's a very enticing question here. Fully deserves a long answer.
You really are very sweet.
Thank you.
And a little naive, too.
Why?
Because you imagine that I mind about Elvira being more physically attractive than I am.
I would have thought any woman would mind, if it were true. Or perhaps I'm old-fashioned in my view of female psychology.
Not exactly old-fashioned, darling, just a bit didactic.
Oh, how do you mean?
Well, because it's didactic to attribute to one type the defects of another type. For instance, because you know perfectly well that Elvira would have minded terribly if you found another woman more attractive physically than she was. It doesn't necessarily follow that I should. Elvira was a more physical person than I. I'm certain of that. It's all a question of degree.
I love you, I love
I know you do. But not the wildest stretch of imagination could describe it as the first fine, careless rapture.
you. Would you like it to be?
Oh, good God, no.
Wasn't that a shame too bad?
Oh, we're neither of us adolescent, Charles. And we've neither of us led exactly prim lives, have we? And we've both been married before. Careless rapture at this stage would be incongruous and embarrassing.
Well, I hope I haven't been in any way disappointed here.
Don't be the honor, Charles.
After all, your first husband was a great deal older than you. I hate to think you missed out all along the line.
You know, there are moments when you go too far.
Sorry, darling.
As far as waspish female psychology goes, there's a rather strong basis in you.
I've heard the same thing said about Julius Caesar.
Julius Caesar is neither here nor there.
He may be, for all we know, last man on my mind.
You know, you really are awfully irritating when you're determined to be witty at all costs. Almost supercilious.
Elvira used to say the same thing.
I'm not entirely surprised. I never imagined, physically triumphant as she was, that she was entirely lacking in perception as well.
Darling.
Poor Elvira.
Didn't that light from around the kiss mollify you at all?
You know, you are very annoying. You know you are. When I said poor Elvira, it came from the heart. It probably bewildered her so horribly.
Don't I ever do you at all?
Never for an instant. I know every trick.
Then all I can say is we better get a divorce immediately.
Put my glass down. There's a lie.
It's a shame she died so young.
Oh.
She really had a talent for living.
Poor Elvira.
That remark is getting monotonous.
Poor Charles, then.
That's better.
And later on, poor Ruth, I suspect.
You have no faith, Ruth. You really have a little faith.
Well, I shall strain every nerve.
Life without faith is an arid business.
Oh, how beautifully you put things, darling.
Hey, please.
I wonder if I died, how long it would be before you married again.
You won't die. You're not the dying sort.
Nonsense. Neither was Elvira.
Yes, she was. Looking back on it now, she had a certain ethereal, not quite a this quality about her. No one can even call you even remotely ethereal.
She was of the earth, earthy.
She is now, anyhow.
You know, it's observations like that that shock people.
It's discouraging to think how shocked people get by honesty and how few by deceit.
Well, write that down, you might forget it.
You underrate it.
Anyhow, it was a question of bad taste more than honesty.
I was married to Elvira for 5 years. She died, and I missed her very much. That was 7 years ago. I have since, with your help, my love, risen above the whole thing.
Oh, admirable. But should tragedy ever darken us, poor Ruth.
Well, that should be the bad news.
Oh, well, it might be about McCarthy.
Oh no, she'll come on a bicycle. She always goes everywhere on a bicycle.
Oh, really is very spirited of the young girl.
Should I get it or?
I'm waiting for the brackets to be there before I hit the doorbell. Y'all have to be ready on that cue.
Gotcha. Should I get it or should we let Edith have it?
Do you want us to go back to the queue?
Yeah, so you guys practice when you come out and
Where do you want us to go from?
About 7 years ago.
All right. That was 7 years ago, and I have since, with your help, my dear, risen above the whole thing.
Admirable. But should tragedy ever darken our lives, I still say with prophetic foreboding, poor Ruth.
Oh, that should be the rabbit.
Oh, well, it might be Madame Arcati.
No, she was on her bicycle. She always goes everywhere on her bicycle.
It really is very spirited of the old girl.
Should I get it or should we let Edith have her thing?
Oh, no, let's wait a moment and see what happens.
Steady. Does it, Edith?
Yes, so I really thought she would be down on a free-sprinting position waiting for Cook to open the door. Dr. and Mrs. Bradley.
We're not late. I only got back from the hospital about half an hour ago.
No, of course not. Madame Arcati isn't here yet.
Oh, that must have been her past coming down the hill. Oh, since you won't be long. I'm so glad you were able to come. We've been looking forward to it and feeling quite excited.
Would you like a dry martini?
By all means.
You know, it was only a chance remark by the vicar. Seeing her up on the knoll, Midsummer's Eve, dressed in a sort of Indian robes, that I realized she'd been psychic at all. After that, I began to make inquiries. Apparently, she's been in the business for years.
It's funny, isn't it? I mean, anybody making it as a profession.
I believe it's very.
What do you believe in, Mrs. Conline? Do you think there's anything really genuine about it at all? No, I'm afraid not. But I do think it's interesting how easily people allow themselves to be deceived. But she must believe it in herself, mustn't she? Or is the whole business a fake?
I suspect the worst, a complete imposter. That's what I'm hoping for, anyhow. The character in my book is meant to be a complete fake. That's one of the biggest factors of the entire story.
What exactly are you hoping to get from that?
Oh, jargon, principally, a few tricks of the trade. It's been a while since I've been at the seance. I'd like to refresh my memory.
So it's not entirely new to you.
Oh, good heavens, no. When I was younger, an aunt of mine used to think of herself as a medium. She used to go off on the most elaborate trances after dinner. My mother was fascinated by her.
Was she convinced?
Oh, good heavens, no. My mother just disliked my aunt and loved to fool her.
I gather there were never any tangible results.
Oh, sometimes she didn't do so badly. On one occasion, in the pitch dark, while my mother was groping her way through Chaminade and the piano, my aunt gave out a shrill scream, said something about a black dog sitting next to my chair. We turned on the lights, and sure enough, there it was.
How extraordinary.
Well, it was surely a stray who came off the streets. But I did tip my hat off to my auntie for producing, or rather for utilizing it. My mother was shaking for days.
Whatever happened to it?
Oh, it lived with us for years.
Well, I sincerely hope Madame Arcati won't produce any livestock. We have so very little room in this house. Do you think she has fortunes? Nothing but what you're told.
Oh, I expect so.
Well, I was once told on the pier at Southsea that I was surrounded by lilies and a golden seven. Oh, it worried me for days.
Now, we all must be dead serious and pretend we believe implicitly. Otherwise, she may not play.
But also, she might really mind. It would be cruel to upset her.
I shall be good as gold.
Well, have you ever attended her, Doctor? Professionally, I mean.
Yes, as a matter of fact, she had influenza in January. She's only been here just over a year, you know. I must say she was singularly unpsychic then. I always understood she was an authoress.
Yes, we first met at one of Mrs. Wilmot's Sunday evenings at Sandy.
Oh, what sort of books does she write?
Oh, two sorts. Rather whimsical children's stories with highly conversational flora and fauna in enchanted woods. And biographies of minor royalties. Reverent, very sentimental, and extremely funny.
Here she is.
She knows, doesn't she? About tonight. You're not just going to spring it on her?
Oh, of course. It was all arranged last week. I told her I was profoundly interested in anything to do with the acoustics. She blossomed like a rose.
I'm really quite nervous, as though I were going to make a speech.
Well, why don't you go meet her?
I've laid my bike up against that
No one touches it. Madam Coffee.
I'm afraid I'm not the least. I had a sudden presentiment that I was going to have a puncture. So I went back to fetch my pump, and then, of course, I didn't have a puncture at all.
Well, perhaps you were on the way out.
Dr. Bradman! Oh, the man with the gentle hand.
Mark Garvey, I'm pleased to see you looking so well. This is my wife.
Oh, we are old friends. We meet coming out of the shops.
Would you like a cocktail?
If it's a dry martini, yes. If it's a concoction, no. Experience has taught me to be very wary of concoctions.
It's a dry martini.
Oh, how delicious. It was so wonderful cycling through the woods this evening. I was deafened with birdsong.
It's been lovely all day.
But the evening's the time, mark my words.
Here you are.
Thank you. Cheers. Cheers.
Well, don't you find it tiring bicycling everywhere?
Oh, no, on the contrary. It stimulates me. I was given far too sedentary in London. That horrid little flat with the dim lights. It had to be dim, you know. The clients expected.
I myself find bicycling very exhausting.
Steady rhythm, that's what counts. Once you get on, you know, just it's the knack of it. On you go and away you get.
Oh, but those heels, Madam McCarthy, those awful
Oh,
heels.
no, just nap again. Just down with your head, up with your heart, and you're over the top like a flash and skimming down the other side like a dragonfly. You know, this is the best dry martini I've had in years.
Would you have another?
Yes, certainly. You know, you are a very clever man. Anyone can write books, but it takes an artiste to make a dry martini that's dry enough.
Well, are you writing anything nowadays, Madam McCarthy?
Oh, yes, every morning. Regular clockwork, 7 to 1.
Oh, is it a novel or a memoir?
It's a children's book. I have to have it finished by the end of October, you know, to make the Christmas sale. It's mostly about very small animals. I had to give up my memoir, Princess Valentine, because, well, she died in April. I was talking to her about it the other day, and she implored me to go on with it, but I just hadn't the heart.
You talked to her about it the other day?
But yes, oh, through my control, of course.
What was your control?
Yes.
It's funny to think of people in the spirit world. Oh, dear.
Right.
It's funny to think of people in the spirit world as irritable as many. One can hardly imagine.
We have no guarantee that the afterlife will be any less exasperating than this one, do we?
But how can you, Mr. Conline?
Oh, Charles. Well, let me tell you about Princess Valentine. She was originally a Jewess from Odessa, of quite remarkable beauty. You know, it was an accepted fact that people would stand on the seats of railway stations to watch her whiz by.
So she was a keen traveler.
Yeah, in her young years, yes. And then she married Mr. Clark from the consular service, and she settled down for a bit.
And how did she become Princess Valentine?
Oh, that came years later. Well, Mr. Clark passed over, and he left her penniless with 2 strapping girls.
Oh, pleasant.
Yes, so there was nothing for it but for her to take to the road and obey the beckoning finger of adventure. So off she went, bag and baggage to Vladivostok.
What an extraordinary place to go.
Oh, no, she had cousins there, yes. It was soon after that she met old Palatine. He was returning from a secret mission in Japan. Yes, and he was just staggered by her beauty, and he married her very soon afterwards. And from then on, her life was really interesting.
I would hardly describe it as a dull hole.
What happened to the girls?
Well, she neither saw them nor spoke to them for 23 years.
How extraordinary.
No, she was always very erratic emotionally.
Dinner served, Mom. Thank you, Edith. Shall we?
Now, here's really ready.
Oh, that's neat, but it would be very red. Would you rather have an egg or something?
No, thank you. It's just that I make it a rule not to eat bread before I work. It sometimes has a very odd effect.
What sort of effect?
Well, it doesn't matter much. If it isn't very red, it won't matter at all. Anyhow, good Christmas.
Come on, Mrs. Brandon. Not hot to your Charles is left.
On her mother's side, she went all the way back to the Borgias, which accounts for quite a lot, I think. Even as a child, she had the most violent fits of temper. Very inbred, you know.
Yes, she must have been.
When we were speaking to her the other day, my control was very frightened, but of course, she's only a child.
Have you always had a child as control man?
Oh, yes, I find that it's usually the best, especially when they get to know you and understand your ways. Daphne has worked with me for years.
And she still goes on looking like a child. She shows no signs of growing any older.
Oh, well, her time values on the other side are utterly different from ours.
Even from when you go into trance.
In what way, funny?
Oh, I mean, Mrs. Brandon doesn't mean funny in its comic implication. I think she meant odd or strange.
Well, the word was an unfortunate choice.
I'm sure I'm very sorry.
Oh, don't worry, don't worry.
Oh, when did you first discover that you had these extraordinary powers, Madame Arcati?
Well, when I was very tiny, my mother was a medium before me, you know, and so I had every opportunity of learning from the ground floor, so to speak. I had my first trance when I was 4 years old, and my first ectoplasmic manifestation when I was 5.5. Oh, what a day that was. I shall never forget it. Oh, but of course, the manifestation was rather small and at very short duration, but for a child of my tender years, it was most gratifying.
Your mother must have been so pleased.
Well, she was.
Can you point out the feature?
Certainly not. I disapprove of fortune tellers most strongly.
Really, why?
Oh, too much guesswork and fate mixed up in it. And even if the gift is real, which it very seldom is, you can't count on it.
Oh, why not?
Time again. Time is the reef upon which all our frail mystic ships are wrecked.
You mean because it has never yet been proved that the past and the present and the future are not one and the same thing?
I came to the conclusion long ago that nothing has ever been definitely proved about anything.
How very wise. Edith. Don't worry about the dining. You can clear the table in the morning. Oh, yes, and we are not to be disturbed for the next hour or so for any reason whatsoever. Is that quite clear? It is. And if anyone is to call, just say we are out and take a message. Unless it's an urgent call for George. Unless it's an urgent call for Dr. Brown. And he's a... It's not very likely to be one, is there? No, I don't think so.
Oh, once I'm off, it won't matter much, but any interruption during the preliminary stages could prove disastrous.
Well, I do hope the men would hurry up. I'm getting terribly excited.
Oh, please don't be. It just makes everything much, much more difficult.
My dear Madame Arcati, the time is drawing near.
Who knows? It may be receding.
How very true.
How are you feeling at the moon, Madame Arcati?
Oh, it isn't a question of mood. It's a question of concentration.
Well, we easily wait if you're not quite ready to start.
Oh, nonsense, my dear. I'm absolutely ready. Hi-ho, to what we do.
Is there anything you'd like us to do?
Do?
Hold hands or anything?
Oh, no, all that will come later. First, a couple deep breaths of fresh air. Oh, you may talk if you wish. It will not disturb me in the least.
Oh dear.
Dinner was amazing this
The moose wasn't quite right.
evening. It looked hysterical, but it tasted delicious.
Yes.
That cuckoo is very angry.
I beg your pardon?
I said that cuckoo is very angry. Listen.
How can you tell?
Timbre. No moon. That's as well, I think. There's a mist rising up from the marshes. There's no need for me to light my bicycle lamp, is there? No one's likely to fall over it or anything.
No, we're not expecting anybody else.
Good night, you foolish bird. You have a table?
We thought this one would do.
Oh, I think this one with the drinks on it would be better.
Change over.
This is the part that I always hate.
Oh, are you very nervous?
Well, yes. When I was a girl, I always used to be sick.
Very fortunate you grew out.
Oh, well, children always are much more prone to being sick than grown-ups, though, aren't they? I know when I was a child, I could never go anywhere with any degree of safety until I was 14.
Little Tommy Tucker sings for his supper. What shall he have but brown bread and butter? I despise that because it doesn't rhyme at all, but Daphne loves it.
Who's that?
Oh, Daphne is not out of his control. She's a little girl.
Oh, I see, yes.
Of course.
How old is she?
Oh, rising 7 when she died.
When was that?
February the 14th, 1884.
Oh, little thing.
She must be a bit long in the tooth by now, I should have think.
You should think, Dr. Bradley. But I fear you don't. At least not profoundly enough.
George, quiet. What about you are?
It's all right, my dear. I'm quite used to skeptics. They're usually the most receptive and vulnerable in the long run.
You better take that warning to heart, Dr. Bradley.
Now then,
Please forgive me, Madam Arcadia. I can assure you I am deeply
it's
interested.
quite all right, Dr. Bradley. Will you all please gather round the table, please? And face your hands downwards on it.
Would you like to see the lights?
Oh, no, thank you. I can do it. Sit down, please. Yes, now, fingers lightly touching. Yes, yes. Now, I presume that is the gramophone, Mr. Pomeroy?
Yes, it's an electric one. Would you like me to get it for you?
Oh, no, I can manage. Stay where you are. Let's see here. Bronze? Oh, no, dear me. Rachmaninoff? Too florid. Where is the dance music?
The loose ones on top of the piano.
Oh, I see. Here you are.
I'm afraid none of them are very new.
Oh, well, Daphne really likes Irving Berlin more than anyone else. She likes a tune that she can hum. Oh, here's one. Always.
Always.
Oh, sit down. What is the matter with you?
Oh, nothing. Nothing's matter.
All right, now then. I should like to the light switch. It's by the door here.
Yes, all except the small one on the desk and the ground.
Very well, I understand. Now then, I should like to explain a couple things, so will you all listen attentively?
Oh, of course.
Presently, when the music starts, I shall switch out the lights. I may then either walk about the room a bit, or lie down flat. In due course, I shall join you at the table, and I will put myself between you and your wife, Mr. Condamine. I will then place my hands lightly upon yours. I must ask you not to address me, or to move, or to do anything in the least distracting. Is that quite clear?
Perfect.
Now then, I cannot guarantee that anything at all will happen. Daphne may be unaware. She's had a head cold recently, and she's feeling very under the weather. Poor child. But on the other hand, a great deal many things may happen. One of you may have an imminent, or may be contact a poltergeist, which would be extremely destructive and noisy.
In what way destructive?
Well, they break things, you know.
Oh, I didn't know.
But we will cross that bridge when we come to it, won't we? Fortunately, this time of year, an elemental is most unlucky.
What do elementals do?
Oh, my dear, one can never tell. They're dreadfully unpredictable. They usually take the form of a very cool queen.
I don't think I shall like that at all.
Occasionally even reaching almost hurricane velocity.
You don't think it would be a good idea to take the more breakable pieces off the mantle?
Oh, my dear Mrs. Condamine, I can assure you, I have my own methods of dealing with elementals.
I'm so good.
Now then, are you ready to clear your minds?
Do you mean let's think of nothing?
Absolutely nothing, Dr. Bradman. Concentrate on space or a nondescript cover. That's really the best way.
I'll do my damnedest.
Very good. I shall start the music. Lights! Now then, is there anyone there? I said, is there anyone there? One rap for yes, two raps for no. Now then, is there anyone there? Whew! Is that you, Daphne? Oh, is your cold better, dear? Oh, well, are you doing anything for it? Oh, I'm afraid she's rather fretful. Daphne, is there anyone there who wishes to speak to anyone here? Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Oh, no! Stop it! Daphne! Stop it! Stop it! You black child! Stop it right now! Okay, all right. Good. Now then, you say that there is someone there who wishes to speak to someone here. Is it me? Is it Dr. Bradman? Is it Mrs. Bradman? Oh. Is it Mrs. Condamine? Oh, stop it! You behave yourself. Stop it! Is it Mr. Condamine? There's someone who wishes to speak to you, Mr. Condamine.
Tell them to leave a message.
I must ask you not to be flippant, Mr. Condamine. Oh, do you know anyone who has passed over recently?
No, my cousin in the civil service, but I haven't spoken to him in years.
Are you Mr. Condamine's cousin in the civil service? Okay. That doesn't seem to be right. Is there anyone else? Rack your brains.
Well, it might be, Mrs. Blithe. She died she was very deaf. Perhaps you'd better shout.
Are you old Mrs. Plummet? There's no one there at all.
What a shame. Mrs. Rigby on so nicely.
Well,
I'm afraid there's nothing for it but for me to go into a trance. I'd hope to avoid it because it's so exhausting, but what must be, must be. Excuse me while I start the music again.
not always. Please don't play always.
Ever not, Charles. Don't be so.
I'm afraid I must. It would be imprudent to change horses in midstream, you know.
It's your own way.
That would be Daphne. She ought to have had it out of my exam.
God!
Just trying to get to where I can hold it. Oh, you can't believe it where it is.
How the hell is she back?
There's no need to snap at me.
Who said that?
I said what, darling?
Someone said to leave you where it is.
Nonsense.
But I heard it distinctly.
Nobody else did they? I didn't hear a thing.
It's you, Ruth. You're playing tricks on me.
Oh, I am not. I haven't uttered.
Good evening, Charles.
Ventriloquism. That's what it is, ventriloquism.
What was the matter with you?
You mean you didn't hear anything?
I hear what?
You're going to all stand there solemnly and tell me that you didn't hear anything?
I certainly didn't.
Neither did I. I wish I had. I'd love to hear something. It is you, Charles. You were playing tricks on us. You're trying to frighten us.
No, I swear I'm not.
It's difficult to what to think to say after 7 years, but I suppose good evening is as good as anything else.
Who are you?
Oh, Vera, of course, don't be silly.
That's it. We're done. The entertainment's over.
Oh, Charles, how tiresome you. Just let us enjoy ourselves.
Never again for as long as I live.
What is the matter with you?
I'm just, the whole business. I'm just done with the whole business.
Did you hear anything that we didn't? Really?
Of course not. I was only pretending.
Oh, I know you were. Oh, dear, look at Madame Arcadi. Oh, what did you do with her?
Bring her around. Bring her around as soon as you can.
I think we'd better leave her alone.
Oh, but she might stay like that for hours.
Bring her around you. It's dangerous to leave her like that.
Charles, really, you're behaving most peculiarly.
Oh, she's out all right.
Wake up, Madame Arcati! It's time to go home!
Easy, old man.
Get some brandy. Wake up! Help me get her up. Sit up here. Wake up, Madame Arcati! Little Tommy, come on, Madame Arcati!
Oh, please, don't use the bread.
Wake up!
She's coming around. Be careful, you smell like on his shirt.
Oh, well, that's that.
Are you all right?
Yes, my dear. I've never felt better in my whole life.
Would you like some more brandy?
So that's the funny taste in my mouth. Oh, well, fancy imagine allowing them to let me have brandy, Dr. Bradman. Brandy on top of a trance could be catastrophic. Take it away. I probably shan't sleep tonight as it is.
I know I shan't.
Why on earth not, Charles?
The whole thing is just unhinged.
Well, what happened? Was it satisfactory?
Well, not much happened after you went off, Madame Arcati.
Something happened, all right. I can feel it. No poltergeist at any rate. That's a good thing. Any apparitions?
Not a thing.
No ectoplasm?
I don't know what it is, but I don't think so.
Well, I hope that I haven't gone and released something. I'm sure we will find out in a day or two. But anyway, if anything should happen, if you hear any unexplained noises or anything like that, you will let me know.
Oh, I will, of course. Your child thought he heard a voice. He pretended. Oh.
It was only a joke.
Not a very funny joke, if you ask me.
We'll call you at once if we do hear you.
Thank you. I think I should be going now.
But don't you like anything before you go?
Oh, no, dear. I have some Ovaltine in the saucepan at home, which just needs holding up.
Wouldn't you like to leave your bicycle here? Just let us drive.
I
Oh,
honestly think you should, Madame Lafontaine, after a trance and everything. Maybe you can invite yourself.
my dear, I'm fit as a fiddle. I always feel capital after a trance. It just rejuvenates me. Oh, thank you, dear. And good night, Mrs. Carmine.
It was very nice of you to go through so much trouble.
Yes, well, I'm sorry that nothing much happened. You know, it's that cold of Daphne's. You know how children are when there's anything wrong with them. Good night, Mrs. Bradley.
It was thrilling, really. It was. I felt the table absolutely shook beneath my hands.
Good night, Doctor.
Congratulations, Madam Arcadi.
I am fully aware of the irony in your voice, Dr. Bradley. You would be a good candidate for telepathic hypnosis. A good friend of mine is an expert at it. I should like her to look you over.
I'm sure I should be charmed.
Well, good night, everyone. Next time you must really put our backs into it.
I'll walk that.
She might be. Oh, no, I can't help it. I really can't. I've been holding this in for ages. She certainly looks doing your face, George. Serve you right. Well, she's mad. Raving mad. Mad as a hydrant. Of course. But you think she actually believes?
Of course not. The whole thing's a put-up job. I must say she shoots a more original line than they generally do.
Well, I should think she's nearly convinced herself by now.
Yes.
Do you think that it could be some sort of medical condition?
Yes, a form of hysteria, I should say.
Well, I certainly hope Charles got the atmosphere he's looking for his book. Oh, you know, he might have got a great deal more if he hadn't spoiled everything by showing off a really quick cross with it. Oh, that was a Dr. Trout. There must be a window open.
No, they're shut.
Oh, maybe it's one of those whatchamacallits that Madame Lafontaine was talking about.
Elemental.
She distinctly said it's the wrong time of year for elemental.
Well, the old girl's gone pedaling off at a hell of a speed. We had a little trouble lighting the lantern though.
Poor thing.
You know, I have a theory about her. I think she's completely sincere.
Oh, Charles, how could she be?
Oh, wouldn't it be possible, Doctor, some form of self-hypnotism or something?
It could be. As I was explaining to your wife just a moment ago, there are certain types of hysterical subjects.
Sure, dear, we really should be going. It's been terribly late, and you have to wake up so early in the morning.
You see, as soon as I begin to talk about anything that remotely interests me, my wife interrupts me.
You know I'm right, darling. It's past 11.
Would you like a drink before we go?
No, thank you, really. But it's quite right, I'm afraid. I have to get up abominably early tomorrow. I have a patient being operated on in Canterbury.
It was a really evening, really it was. It's sweet of you to include us.
You're sure about that drink?
Quite sure, thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Carmine.
That was good night.
Well, darling.
Well,
Would you say that the evening had been profitable?
yes, I suppose.
I must say, I found some of it extremely funny.
Yes, very.
What's the matter?
Matter?
Yes, you seem old somehow. Do you feel quite well?
No, perfect. I think I have a drink. Would you like one?
No, thank you, darling.
Rather chilly in this room.
Well, stand over there by the fire.
I don't think I'll make any notes tonight. I'll start fresh in the morning. Good God!
Charles! That's very lovely, Charles, dear.
Vera, it's true. It was she.
Yes, of course it was. about?
Are you a ghost?
It's all very confusing, but I suppose I am.
Charles, why are you looking over there for? Look at me. What's happened?
Don't you see?
See what?
Elvira.
Vera?
Yes, Elvira, this is Ruth. Ruth Elvira.
Charles, come, sit down.
Do you mean you can't see her?
Don't be absurd, darling. Well, are you mad?
No, you have to be able to see her. She's right there in front of you, there.
Charles, just sit down.
You can't see her?
I want you to sit down, Charles, and I'll mix you a drink, and don't worry about the mess on the carpet. I'll have you clean it up in the morning.
What am I to do? What the hell am I to do?
Well, I suppose you could be a little more pleased to see me. After all, you conjured me up.
I did no such thing.
Of course you did. That's why when the ward came and said that you needed to see me urgently.
It's been a mistake. It's been a horrible mistake.
Charles, this is some sort of joke. It's gone on quite far enough. Sit down, for God's sake, and don't be absurd.
I've gone mad, that's what it is. I've gone raving mad.
Here. Drink this.
This is appalling.
Relax.
How can I relax? I should never relax again for as long as I live.
Have some brandy and drink.
There, are you satisfied?
Now, sit.
Why are you so anxious for me to sit down?
Because I want you to relax, and you can't relax standing up.
Oh, flamingos can stand on one leg for hours.
I don't happen to be a flamingo.
You don't have to be a what?
A flamingo!
Oh, what's that got to do with it?
Nothing, never mind. We'll talk no more. There, I sat down.
Good. Would you like another drink?
Yes, sure.
Oh, very unwise, Charles. You always have to be careful.
I could always drink you one day.
Oh, Charles, there's no need to be aggressive. I'm doing my best to help you.
I'm sorry, darling.
Here. Have this brandy, and then we'll go up to bed.
Get ready for Charles. Please.
That's a thoroughly immoral suggestion. You ought to be ashamed of
Well,
yourself.
what's there immoral in that?
I wasn't talking to you.
Well, who were you talking to then?
Elvira!
Oh, to hell with them.
Oh, no, now she's getting cross.
I don't blame her.
Well, what don't you blame for?
God.
Charles, I gather you have some sort of plan behind all of this. I'm not quite a fool. I suspected something during that idiotic seance.
Don't be silly. What kind of plan could I have?
Well, I don't know. It's probably to do with your book, one of the characters, and how they would react to a certain situation. Well, I refuse to be used as a guinea pig unless I know beforehand what it's all about.
Elvira's here, in this room. She's right here in front of you. There.
Oh, yes, I can see her. Oh, under the piano with the zebra.
Please.
Oh, no, I'm not going to stand here arguing any longer.
Hooray! Shut up.
Oh, how dare you talk to me like that?
I wasn't talking to you.
Here, I am not going to listen to any more of this nonsense. Listen, I'm going up to my room, and I'll leave you to turn off the lights. I shan't be asleep. I won't get you upset. So, if you feel like it, you can come up and say goodnight to me.
Oh, that's rather big of her, I must say.
To be able to cut his knife.
I have nothing more to say to you, Charles. Good night.
True.
That was one of the most enjoyable half hours I have ever spent.
This is obviously a hallucination, isn't it?
Well, I'm sure there's a technical term for it.
What am I to do?
What Bruce suggested. Relax.
Where have you come from?
I think that's quite peculiar, but I've sort of forgotten.
Are you to be here indefinitely?
I don't know that either.
Oh my God.
Why would you hate it so much if I was?
You must admit it would be embarrassing.
I don't see the money is all the question of trusting yourself. Anyhow, I think it's quite rude of you to be so unwelcoming and disagreeable.
See here, Elvira.
I do, and I think you're mean.
Well, try to see my point of view, darling. I've been married to Ruth for 5 years. You've been dead for 7.
You're not dead, Charles. Crossed over. It's considered vulgar to say dead where I come from.
Crossed over.
At any rate, now that I'm here, you can at least make the pretense of being amiable about it.
Of course, my dear. I'm delighted in one way.
I don't think you love me anymore.
I shall always love the memory of you.
Oh, you mustn't think me so reasonable, but it really does hurt a little. That child came for me, and every inconvenience I came, and you've been thoroughly churlish ever since I arrived.
I did not call you back.
Oh, sure you did. I remember I was playing backgammon with that really nice older gentleman. I believe his name was Genghis Khan, and I just rolled double sixes. And then that child paged me. The next thing I know, I'm in this very room.
It is not. You must find out if you're to stay here, and we'll make arrangements accordingly.
I don't see how I can.
Think. Don't you know anyone? Anyone on the other side, or whatever it's called? Someone who could advise you.
I can't think. It all seems so far away, as though I dreamt it.
You must know someone else besides Genghis Khan.
Oh, Charles.
What's the matter?
I don't want to cry, but I don't think I'm able to.
What do you want to cry for?
Oh, it's seeing you again, and you being so irascible like you always used to be.
I don't mean to be irascible.
Oh,
Vera.
darling, I don't mind. I never really did.
Is it cold being a ghost?
No, I don't think so.
What happens if I touch
I don't think you can. You want to?
you? Vera,
Oh, what is it, darling?
I really do feel strange seeing you again.
That was better.
What's that?
Your voice, it was kinder.
Was I ever unkind to you when you were alive?
Oh, Ted.
Oh, how could you? That's surely an exaggeration.
Oh, no, it's not. You were an absolute pig the time we went to Cornwall and stayed in that awful hotel. You looked familiar, Q.
Only very, very gently.
I loved you very much.
I loved you too. I can't touch you. Isn't that horrible?
Suppose it's just as well I'm to stay friends.
I guess I'll wake up eventually, but I feel strangely peaceful now.
Lay your head down.
Like that?
Yes. Can you feel anything?
Only a very light breeze in my hair.
I suppose that's better than nothing.
I guess if I have lost my mind, they'll put me in an asylum.
Oh, don't worry about that. Just relax.
Oh, Ruth.
To hell. Edith? Yes, Edith? Please come in, Edith. Will you tell Charles he's late to breakfast?
Good morning, darling.
Good morning, Charles.
Certainly it is.
What certainly is what?
Good morning. A delightfully good morning. There's not a cloudy sky and everything looks newly washed.
Edith's keeping your breakfast hot. You'd better drink.
Anything interesting in the Times?
Don't be silly, Charles.
You know, it's fascinating about daylight.
How do you mean?
How it reduces everything to normal.
Does it, sir?
Yes, it does.
We're very glad to hear it.
Rather glacial this morning.
Are you surprised?
Oh, frankly, yes, I expected more of you.
Really?
Yes, I always viewed you as a woman of compassion and understanding.
Perhaps today's one of my happy days.
Good morning, Edith.
Good morning, sir.
Feeling fit?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
How's cook?
I don't know, sir. I haven't asked her.
Oh, you should. You should begin every day asking everyone how they're doing. It oils the wheels.
Yes, sir.
Greet her from me, will you?
Yes, sir. That will be all for the moment, Edith. Yes, sir. I really wish you wouldn't be facetious with the servants. It confuses them and undermines their morale.
I find that point of view to be retrogressive, if not downright feudal.
I don't care what you consider it. I have to run the house and you don't.
You would find that I couldn't.
And you're at liberty to try.
I take back what I said about being a good morning. It's a horrid morning.
You better eat your breakfast while it's hot.
Isn't it?
Look here. This attitude in your younger days may have been alluring, but in a middle-aged novelist, it's nauseating.
Would you have any ride at your feet in a frenzy of self-abasement?
Well, that would be equally as nauseating, but certainly more appropriate.
I don't see what I've done. It's so awful.
You came to bother me last night. You wounded me and insulted me.
I was the victim of an aberration.
Oh, nonsense. You were drunk.
that's your story, is it?
And then you refused to come to bed. And when I came down at 3 o'clock in the morning to see what happened to you, I found you in an alcoholic coma on the sofa with the fire out of your hair all over your face.
Last night, something happened to me. Something very peculiar happened.
Nonsense.
It's not nonsense. I know it looks like nonsense in the remorseless light of day, but last night it was far from nonsense. I had some sort of hallucination.
I'd really rather not discuss it any further.
But you must discuss it. It's very disturbing.
Oh yes, there I agree with you. It showed you up in a most unpleasant light, and I found that extremely disturbing.
Last night I was positive I heard Elvira, and I was shocked.
Oh, and you seriously expect me to believe that you weren't drunk?
I know I wasn't drunk. If I was drunk, I'd have a dreadful hangover right now, wouldn't I?
Well, I'm not at all certain that you have it.
I don't have a trace of a headache, and my tongue's not crooked. Look,
I have the least desire to look at your tongue. Kindly put it back in again.
I know what it is. You're frightened.
Frightened? Rubbish. What is there to be frightened of?
Elvira. You wouldn't have minded it at all that much if I had been drunk. It's all because it's mixed up with Elvira.
I seem to remember telling you last night before dinner that your views on female psychology were didactic, and I was right. I should have added that they were puerile.
That's where it all began.
Where what all began?
We were talking about Elvira, and it's dangerous to have someone strongly in your mind, in the dally, with the occult.
Well, she certainly wasn't very strongly in my mind.
But she was in mine.
Oh, she was, was she?
You were trying to get me to say that she was more physically attractive than you, so you could hold it over.
No, I was not. I don't give a hoot how physically attractive she is.
Yes, you do. Your whole essence is
Oh,
bound in jealousy.
is it? This is too much.
Women. My God, when I think of women.
Your view on men is academic, to say the least. Just because you've been dominated by them your whole life doesn't necessarily mean you know anything about them.
I've never been dominated by anyone.
Oh, you were married by your mother until you were 23, and then he falls in the clutches of that old Mrs. whatever her name was.
Mrs. Wimble.
Not interested. And then there was Elvira, and she ruled you with a rod of iron.
Elvira never ruled anyone. She was far too elusive. That was one of her greatest charms.
No, and then there was Moncherie.
My affair with Marjorie lasted exactly 7.5 weeks, and she cried all the time.
Oh, dearie of tears. And then,
If you wish to take an inventory of my sex life, dear, I think it's only proper for me to tell you missed out on several episodes. I will consult my diary and give you a full list after dinner lunch.
well, it's no use trying to impress me with your routine amorous exploits. Oh, I bet you think that I've just been trying to dominate you, to control you.
You are. You're the only person who's ever dominated me my entire life.
That is completely untrue.
No, it's not. You boss me and bully me and order me about. You would let me have a hallucination if I want to.
Charles, alcohol will ruin your whole life if you allow it to get open on you.
I want you to know that what happened last night was nothing whatever to do with alcohol. You've adroitly rationalized the entire affair to your own satisfaction. But all of your deductions are based on complete fallacy. I'm willing to grant you that it was an aberration, some psychic episode brought about by suggestion or hypnosis. But I was stone cold sober from the first to the last, and extremely upset in the bar.
You were upset. What about me?
You reacted with an obtuse lack of comprehension.
Well, I consider that I was remarkably patient. I shall know better next time.
Instead of offering a camaraderie hand, you shouted staccato orders at me like a sergeant major.
You gratuitously insulted me.
I did not.
Oh, yes, you did. You called me a gutter snake. You told me to shut up. And then when I quietly suggested that we go to bed, you said that the most disgusting leer on your face that it was an immoral suggestion.
I was talking to Elvira.
Oh, well, if you were, then it certainly conjures up the most fragrant picture of your first marriage.
My first marriage was perfectly charming, and it's the worst possible case for you to sneer at.
Well, it's not your first marriage that has me so absorbed at the moment. It's your second marriage, and it seems to me to be on the rocks.
Only because you persist on keeping this ridiculous attitude.
My attitude is that of any woman whose husband gets drunk and hurls abuse at her.
I was not drunk!
Charles, control yourself
don't care if they hit me in Folkestone Town Hall. I was not drunk.
Control yourself.
How can I control myself in the presence of your ignorant damn stubbornness? It's giving me claustrophobia.
Well, you better call up Dr. Bradley then. Can I clear pizza? Yes, Edith. Who wants to know about lunch, Mom? Charles, will you be in to lunch?
Don't worry about me. I shall be perfectly happy with a bottle of gin in my bedroom.
Don't be silly, Charles. Tell Cook we shall both be in. Yes, sir. Going into hike this morning. Is there anything you want?
A great deal, but I doubt you get it.
Tell Cook to put Alka-Seltzer down on my list, will you, Edith? Yes, sir. It's clouding over.
Ingenious for understatement, dear.
Don't worry about the table, Edith. I'll put it away. Yes, sir.
Ruth, please try to be reasonable.
I'm perfectly reasonable.
Last night, during the seance, I was positive that I heard Elvira's voice, and when I did, I was appalled.
You put up with it for 5 years.
And then later that same evening, I swore I saw her standing in this room. And when I saw her, I had the shock of my life. That's why I dropped the glass.
You couldn't have seen her.
I know I couldn't have, but I did.
Well, I'm willing to concede then that you imagined you did.
That's what I've been trying to explain for hours.
But then there's obviously something wrong with you.
Yes, there's something wrong with me, something fundamentally wrong with me. Why, I've been imploring your sympathy. Oh, I've gone and stare out temperance lectures.
You haven't been drinking, Charles. There's no denying that.
No more than usual.
You feeling quite well yesterday? During the day?
Yes, of course I was.
What did you have for lunch?
You ought to know, you had it with me.
Let's see, there was the lemon sole and the cheese thing.
Why would having a cheese thing for lunch make me see my deceased wife after dinner?
You never know, it was rather rich.
Why didn't you see your dead husband then? You had just as much of it as I did.
This is not getting us anywhere at all.
Of course it isn't, and it won't as long as you relate supernatural phenomenon to chronic irritation.
Supernatural grandmother.
It could have been far less active.
Well, perhaps you ought to go see a nerve specialist.
I am not in the least neurotic.
A psychoanalyst then?
I refuse to have months of expensive humiliation just to be told that at the age of 4 I was in love with my rock.
What do you suggest then?
I don't suggest anything. I'm terribly uneasy.
Perhaps there's something pressing on your brain.
If there was, I'd have violent headaches, wouldn't I?
Not necessarily. An uncle of mine had a lump the size of a cricket ball in his brain for years, and he never felt a thing.
I know I would know if I had anything like that.
Well, he didn't.
Well, what happened to him?
He had to take it out, and he's been right as well ever since.
Well, did he ever have delusions or hallucinations or see things that weren't there?
No, I don't think so.
Then why are we talking about him? It's a waste of valuable time.
I only brought it up as an example.
I'm going mad.
Do you feel quite well now?
Physically, you mean?
Altogether.
Apart from being worried, yes, I feel fine.
Then good. You aren't hearing or seeing anything of the least unusual?
No, nothing at all.
You've absolutely ruined that border, Brother Slender. I only want something to
Oh
stand.
my
Oh,
God!
what's happened now?
She's
What do you mean? Who's back?
Elvira!
Vera? Pull yourself together. Don't be absurd.
It's all this Mr. Sheldon's revolver.
I like Miss Dershowitz.
You're like, what?
Help me, Ruth. You have to help me.
What did you mean about the nasturtiums?
Never mind about that. I'm telling you, she's here again.
Oh, you guys have been having a nice scene, haven't you? I could hear you right down in the garden.
Mind your own business.
Oh, well, if you behaving like lunatics in my business, then I don't know what is.
Oh, I suppose it was about me. I ought to feel sorry.
What do I do?
How can you be so inconsiderate?
Oh, inconsiderate? Oh, I like that, I must say.
Ruth,
So I've done everything I can to help you. I have done my level best, and I'm something, Charles. There has been a certain furtiveness in your manner for weeks. So why don't you just be honest and tell me what it is?
You're wrong, Ruth. You're dead wrong. I'm Lisa.
You're trying to upset me. You're trying for some obscure reason to go to me and doing something that I might regret. I'm not going to put up with it anymore. I'm miserable.
Ruth, please.
No, don't come near me. I would never have a nice cry. I'll drink some good.
You're utterly heartless.
Heartless?
Ruth, please. I was talking to Elvira.
No, if you were, then you should just go ahead and keep on talking to her, then talk to her until you're blue in the face. Don't talk to me. No.
Elvira, you have to help me.
How?
Make her see you or something.
I'm afraid I can't. That's technically the most difficult business. It takes years of practice.
You are here, aren't you? You're not an illusion?
Oh, I may be an illusion, but I'm most definitely here.
You must make me a promise that whenever you come to see me, that you make sure that I'm alone.
How rude! I've never been treated so rudely. It's so mean of you to be so unwelcoming.
I don't mean to be rude, Elvira, but you must see my point.
I don't see why. It's all your own fault. It's all your own fault. You're marrying a woman who cannot see beyond the nose on her own face. If she doesn't bring in a real sympathy for you, or even affection, she would immediately tell her.
How could you expect anybody to believe this?
Well, you'd be surprised how gullible people are. We often laugh about it on the other side. Charles,
Yes, dear?
I'm awfully sorry. I was very cross with you.
You are?
I understand everything now. I really do.
You do.
Of course, darling. Oh, watch it. She's up to something.
Be quiet.
Of course, darling. We'll all be quiet. We will be as quiet as we can.
Ruth, dear.
No, come. I want you to come upstairs and go to bed. Oh, the way that woman talks in bed is nothing short of ironic.
I'll deal with you later.
Very well, darling. Come on.
What are you up to?
Well, I'm not up to anything. I just want you to go to bed and wait there until Dr. Ryman comes. See?
No, Ruth, you're wrong.
Come, darling. Charlie and the straight I'm going to get it.
Help me. You have to help me.
Oh, I don't see how.
I can. Ruth, if I promise to go to bed, can you let me stay there for 5 minutes longer?
I really think it would be better.
However mad it may seem, just bear with me. Let me stay here for 5 more minutes.
Very well. What is it?
Sit down.
Right. There.
All right, now listen carefully.
Yes, darling.
I would like to explain to you, calmly and without emotion, that the ghost or shade or whatever it's called of my first wife is here in this room.
Yes.
I know you don't believe me and you're trying valiantly to humor me, but I'm going to prove it to you.
Well, why don't you lay down and have a little rest and then you can prove anything you want to later on.
She may not be here later on.
Oh, don't worry, she will.
Oh my God.
Charles,
You will do what I ask, won't you?
I don't see why. You've been completely insufferable ever since I materialized.
Ruth, do you see the flowers on the piano?
Yes, I did it myself this morning. Very untimely, if I do say so.
You may not.
Very well, I never will again, I promise.
Elvira will now take the flowers from the piano to the mantelpiece and back again.
Yes, darling.
You will, won't you, Elvira? Just to please me?
I suppose just this once, even though I don't believe in these masculine but not carrying
Ruth, please watch carefully.
Yes. Oh, Charles! How could you? You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
What on earth?
Oh, it's a trick. It's perfectly obvious. It's a trick. Charles, you've been building up to this. You've been part of some horrible plan.
No, I haven't. Elvira, do something else for God's sake.
Oh, certainly anything to oblige. No, you're trying to drive me mad. You're trying to get rid of me.
No, I'm not. I swear I'm not.
You're cruel and sadistic, and I'll never forgive you.